Modern wood rots fast. A new deck or fence can look weathered in just a few years, a constant battle against decay. But for the Vikings, whose entire world was built from timber, their wood wasn't supposed to fail, and for centuries, it didn't. One dark, sticky coating helped their ships, stave churches and homes survive the relentless assault of North Sea salt, coastal rain, and brutal freezing winters. This wasn't paint, it was pine tar, a resinous extract rendered from the heartwood of pine trees. And the strange part is, its biggest advantage wasn't that it created an impenetrable barrier to water, it was that it moved with the wood. So why did that work so well? And why did modern building drift away from a method that thousand-year-old timber structures still seem to prove right? The first mistake people make is thinking wood fails because it gets wet once. That is not the real problem. Wood fails because it gets wet, dries, swells, shrinks, cracks, and repeats that cycle again and again. Each cycle opens up new pathways for moisture to penetrate deeper. The damage builds slowly, almost invisibly. Then, all at once. That is what made pine tar different. It did not try to turn wood into plastic by forming a rigid, brittle shell on the surface. It worked more like a flexible, breathable skin. It soaked deep into the fibers, darkened the surface, and slowed water penetration, without trapping moisture inside. Crucially, it could be renewed on a regular cycle, long before the wood underneath started to fail. It was not elegant, it was practical, and that practicality helped power an entire world built from timber. Because once you stop seeing tar as just a coating and start seeing it as a deliverable good produced at scale, the whole Viking story starts to change. This was not just maintenance, it was infrastructure, a vital industry that enabled exploration, trade, and settlement. If you like hidden systems like this, the materials, roots, and old technologies that quietly shaped history, subscribe now, because this story gets much bigger than wood. The story of pine tar did not begin in some busy harbor workshop, bustling with shipwrights and sailors. It started much deeper inland, in the quiet, sprawling forests of the north, where the raw material grew in abundance. Here, resin-rich pine wood, specifically the stumps and roots of old-growth trees, saturated with natural preservatives, was harvested and stacked into pits or kilns. This was slow, arduous work. The wood was then heated slowly, in a carefully controlled environment, with very little oxygen. Instead of burning clean into ash, the wood underwent a process we now call pyrolysis. It broke down and released a dark, viscous liquid. That liquid was collected, stored in barrels, hauled over rough terrain, traded as a vital commodity, and used where exposed wood mattered most. That sounds simple. It was not. This was a craft demanding immense skill and intuition. The wood had to be chosen carefully, the kiln had to be packed just right to ensure even heating, the temperature had to be controlled with precision, not by gauges, but by sight, sound, and smell. Too much oxygen and the entire precious load burned away to useless ash. Too little heat and the yield dropped, wasting days of hard labor. This was chemistry before chemistry had a modern language. People learned it by practice, by failure, and by endless repetition, passing the knowledge down through generations. And once ships became central to Viking movement, exploration and trade, tar stopped being a small craft product. It became a strategic supply chain material. More ships meant more tar. More tar meant more labor in the forest, more transport inland, and more coordination behind the scenes. The famous longship did not just depend on wood. It depended on preserved wood, sealed against the relentless sea. That is the hidden mechanism. People remember the iconic sails, the daring raids, the silver hoards, and the incredible speed. But timber preservation was the invisible engine that made it all possible. Because a ship that leaks, cracks, and rots is not an instrument of power. It is a deadline. To understand why pine tar was so effective, we first have to understand wood itself. It's a natural material, composed of fibers that absorb and release moisture. This causes it to constantly swell and shrink. Here is the key idea. Rigid, film-forming coatings often fail precisely because they fight this fundamental movement. A hard, impermeable shell seems like a great defense, but it can become brittle and crack under stress. Once that happens, water slips in through tiny openings. Then the surface traps that moisture where you cannot see it, accelerating rot from within. Pine tar worked differently. It penetrated the wood fibers rather than just sitting on top. It created a breathable, flexible barrier that aged with the wood instead of fighting it. That does not mean pine tar made wood immortal. Nothing does, and the Vikings knew this well. Its true advantage was something more practical. It created a repairable system. Builders could inspect it, touch it up, and reapply it before minor weathering became structural damage. For a ship at sea or a building facing harsh winters, that difference is huge. It changes maintenance from an emergency to a predictable routine. And this is where the story becomes strikingly modern. Today, a lot of people buy wood finishes for their decks, siding, or docks, as if one product can permanently seal a material that never stops changing. But wood still reacts to humidity. It still shifts with temperature, and it still punishes bad assumptions. The Vikings may not have described that with lab tests, but their survival depended on understanding the result. Their hard-won knowledge teaches us that if you want wood to last, you do not just cover it. You work with its nature. You protect the surface while respecting the material underneath. You let the material move, and you renew that protection before failure spreads. That is not just an old-world trick. That is smart material thinking, as relevant today as it was 1,000 years ago. So if pine tar was this effective, why did it fade? One reason is obvious: it is messy, it is dark, it smells like smoke, it dries slower than modern consumer finishes, and it asks for maintenance instead of selling the fantasy of a one-time permanent fix. Another reason is aesthetic. Industrial building culture loves uniform color and smooth surfaces. Pine tar announces itself. It changes the timber. It leaves character. And in a world trained to prefer surfaces that look untouched, traditional protection started to look old-fashioned. Then, the wider world changed. Shipbuilding changed. Industrial chemistry changed. New coatings and new materials spread through markets once served by forest-based products. Tar did not become useless. It became niche. And once something becomes niche, people stop seeing it as knowledge and start seeing it as tradition. But niche is not dead. That is the important part. Traditional wooden buildings in the Nordic world kept using tar logic because the climate never changed its mind. Wet, cold, wind-driven, hard on exposed timber. Nature never cared what building fashion preferred. So here is the chain. Vikings needed wood to survive brutal weather. Pine tar gave them a renewable, flexible treatment. That treatment depended on forest production. Forest production supported ship maintenance, and ship maintenance supported trade, movement, and power. A black coating on wood was quietly tied to an entire world system. And that lesson still matters now. Not because every modern house should be covered in pine tar tomorrow, but because old builders understood something modern construction still struggles with. Durability is not just about products, it is about systems, inspection, maintenance, repair, renewal before failure. That idea goes far beyond Viking history. Decks, fences, facades, shingles, docks. Any place where wood meets weather follows the same rule: respect the material or pay for it later. So the Viking rot-proof wood treatment was never really a magic dip. It was a strategy. Protect the surface, let the wood move, renew before failure. That is why it worked then, and that is why it still makes some modern building methods look a little too confident. Subscribe for more stories about the hidden materials and systems that built the world.